Warning! The episode you are about to listen to most likely contains graphic language, details of violence and murder, and may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised. What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 32 of Murder with My Mother, the true crime podcast where I talk murder with my mother, who is so eager to say something right now. I can just see it in your eyes.
Well, it's been a while since I said anything. You know me, I'm so quiet
Most
generally.
quiet person in the room, usually. The both
Yeah.
of us. Never a peep from either.
Yeah, we're both very introverted and quiet, and it's been a while since we've been able to record our voices.
Yes, it's really funny. I've had a couple people, like 3 people in the last probably 2 weeks, be like, because we haven't recorded, be like, oh my God, sometimes I can't tell if it's you or your mom speaking. It's like, and then your mom says something super inappropriate. Then we know it's you. I'm like, oh,
That's usually
sorry,
you.
the wrong lady. What's up, everybody? So, yeah, we have now the hustle and bustle of having a baby.
A
So,
newborn. Please forgive Danica.
yeah,
She sucks.
fuck, something comes up like every other day. It's like, oh, now you have a rash head to toe. Oh, now you won't let go of me. Oh, you cry every time I put you down. Oh, she's great though. She's
Yeah, I mean, she's definitely super cute.
oh yeah, super duper cute. Yeah, no, she's super super cute. She's doing really cute stuff, starting to smile. She's been smiling for a while, actually. It's kind of creepy, but yeah, no, she's yeah.
And I got to babysit for the very first time, so that was pretty exciting.
You did, and you did a great job. I think I wasn't there. I was getting a
Yeah.
2.5 hour Thai massage, so
Yeah, I think I did a pretty good job.
the best is I thought I only booked 1 hour, and then when we had to pay for it at the end, it was really funny, and I thought about it the whole time laughing. We smoked a big doobie before we
Oh
went in.
no.
Yeah, it was funny, surprising, but funny, but great, very
Yeah,
relaxing,
super
and
relaxing.
just what I needed. So.
Good.
Yeah, so we are here to record episode 32, and like we said in episode 31, it's going to be kind of a continuation. It is, but it isn't. I mean, you guys know, you get it if obviously if you listened to the last episode. If you didn't listen,
Go back and listen.
go listen. Yeah, because this one's like I said, it's the second parter of a two-part, but not really. You guys will understand if you listen.
It's the
So,
real story.
yeah, it's the real story of fucking the Laverne's. Oh God, I still have a headache from that
Still,
episode.
what the fuck is up
Yeah,
with Laverne?
what the fuck, Laverne?
And if you don't get that reference, then definitely go back and listen to the previous
Yes,
episode because then you'll get the inside joke.
yeah. So, like we always kind of like to do at the beginning of Murder with My Mother, is we kind of go over, talk about some things that have been happening. Okay, first and foremost, obviously there's been the convoy. We kind of made a joke last time, like the truckers are gonna save us. Okay, well that's turned into we were in a Canada-wide state of emergency because of, some
Our
peaceful
Prime Minister
protest.
invoked the Emergency Act of the country for the very first time because the protesters had taken over the streets of Ottawa downtown, and
We're peacefully protesting.
I don't really want to get into any
No,
of it
no.
because
It is current events
it
though,
is current events. Like it's happened. Now it's, I guess, over. I don't think we've seen the end of it because I
No, no,
think
no.
people are just pissed off and everyone doesn't feel that their rights are being recognized, and the world is in a very, very strange state of flux right
It
now.
is. Like, is the Ukraine gonna bomb the United States of America? Like, I just briefly passed that when I was looking at, you're
Well,
scrolling. It's like,
Russia
oh,
is going to attack the Ukraine or
oh,
take it.
perfect.
And so the United States has Russia on a bunch of different, like, cut them off from a bunch of money and
Mm.
stuff. So the World Health Organization is also
Who?
just
I'm
like,
just
yeah, just
kidding.
like everything's kind of opening up now in the world. I think people are just like starting to travel, and
Yeah, a bunch of the
some of the
provinces dropped
countries.
their mandates. So, I mean,
Well, and I think a lot of places are opening just because nobody can survive anymore.
yeah, yeah.
So There's that. That's still going on. I always laugh
Yep.
when I hear, remember episode one of the pandemic when we thought it was only like
Yeah,
a
God.
three-parter, but really it's a 2.5 year, or it's forever.
Yeah, I hope it's not forever. Like, I hope we come out of
Oh,
it.
whatever.
I'm hoping that some of this stuff eases up. And yeah, I mean, it's very divisive, right? Either way, it's just, I don't
Well,
like that.
everyone's fighting with everyone
Yeah, it's
now, and
crazy.
like
People are on fucking edge.
I just I just like to observe
People
and
are
then
edgy. Well,
yeah.
we're observers.
Yeah,
We're
we
not
are.
really confrontational. I mean, if shit gets confrontational, then we're
If I
gonna.
have to kill some people because they're stealing my fucking last food, then I'll do it. But until then, I'm just gonna sit and watch where the chips fall.
There you go. We're gonna listen to other people talk about murdering other people from
Yeah.
from then on and just sit
On
back
the
and observe.
camping group on Facebook because they asked if they can use a fire ring. Like it's so stupid. Like
Oh
everyone is fighting
God.
about everything
Yeah,
and I
people are
just look and
cunts.
like, "Oh,
Yeah, people are cunts.
yeah.
So another thing, not a very, I mean, it's history again, okay? It's not political, it's just what has happened. Residential schools. So we have covered this topic a couple times. Obviously always like to touch back to it. Um,
Well, it is history.
yeah, because I remember we covered the first episode where it was like, oh my God, they found, was it
200
2,200
and
babies or and bodies of kids that attended the school. And now we've searched, so there was 139 residential schools in total. That's the total number of residential schools. And they've searched 20 of them so far. And the count, which this is so outrageous, the count of bodies that has been discovered is 7,310 in total, which that's only 20 schools. There's roughly 120 more schools for them to search. So it's
I've
just sad.
I've been taking the opportunity in the last little while to educate myself about a lot of the history that surrounds this and how our indigenous people were treated and how residential school affected
Everyone and everything and
everyone
still
and
is.
generate it's generational trauma and the 60s scoop and all of that, and I can't believe that I didn't know so much of this as a citizen of this country and someone whose ancestors were responsible for all of this stuff, and I didn't know any of it.
No, but also because I think it's a dark part of history, right? They're now kids are learning about it. Kids are more aware of things that have happened again with
It's the
generational
beginning of
trauma,
learning
right?
about
Yeah.
it, and I think that yeah, definitely it is a dark part, but it needs to be brought to the surface, which is happening right now. Because I mean, there's still a lot of people in denial. Like I've talked to some people that, they say things like that aren't appropriate about it and they need to educate themselves, and
Hmm.
that's what I've been doing. That's the part that I've been doing that has been, I think, my duty to do,
Yeah, it's like
to learn from the
don't just
mistakes of my
yeah, don't
ancestors.
just bury your head in the sand. And that's something that did happen and it was horrible. And like you said, it has lasting effects and has had lasting effects. And
And it didn't even happen that long ago. It's
no,
still
no,
happening with the
literally, I think,
foster care system and
yeah.
shit.
Well, I remember someone saying to me, and again, I haven't looked into this too much, but that they're trying to give Indigenous kids in foster care IUDs under the age of 12.
Like, what the
And so I
fuck?
would assume that they're, because, okay, if someone is sexually active under the age of 12, that's probably something you should be concerned about. But is that because kids are still being molested and they just don't want them to, to have babies? Where it's like,
Well, that needs to be visited like
exactly,
very,
right?
very, very much because
Because I
that's terrible.
understand, being older, of, not getting pregnant, stuff like that being, but that's not a discussion that should
That's
be happening.
abuse. No one's
Exactly.
allowed to have sex under the age of 12.
Exactly. Yeah. So, yep. So that's something obviously we kind of like to update you guys on. Not a really great thing to be, it's horrible.
It's
It is
necessary
necessary.
so
It's
that it's not
100%
repeated.
exactly. And that's the thing about ugly parts of history is yeah, we would like to bury them and pretend that they didn't happen, but I feel like you said, that is something that can result in it not happening again. So,
Well, and genocide continues to happen and happen and happen and happen all over the world. And
Hmm.
so if we as a supposed forward thinking nation can have it happen here, we need to learn from it.
Well, that's just it, right? And so, like you said, to avoid history repeating itself and to kind of open people's eyes to that, I think it's good that we keep it at the forefront and keep it talked about and keep it just how unnormal it is. It should be normal that that's something that should never happen and should never be repeated.
Well, and also to pay respect to the people that have suffered due to colonization, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. So another thing I wanted to touch on, which okay, this is something for me, probably for you too, because it happened so long ago. There was always these two bodies in Stanley Park. They were known as Babes in the Woods. There were two little skeletons. They thought they were just two kids between the ages of 5 and 10, and they had never, ever, ever been identified. Their bodies were found in 1953, but they think that they were actually murdered in 1948. Well, they were finally identified. So, like a lot of cool things that have been happening in the DNA speaking parts of things is they've been using familial DNA to solve a lot of cases. Like, we saw the Golden State Killer be solved because it's like what their second cousin
Yeah.
did a familial ancestry DNA, whatever. I don't know if it was that exact one of those DNA sites. And it's like, oh, your third cousin is the fucking
Do you have a really weird
yeah,
cousin
yeah.
that like maybe lived in Ontario
Who was
or
like maybe a cop and like maybe got away with like what, 10 rapes and 13
Yeah, like
murders
it's
or
just
something?
crazy. Like I can't even I mean all the fuckers that did shit like this must
Yeah.
just be like
Oh my
laying in bed
God.
at night.
Yeah.
All
So
they all think they're better than everyone anyway, so probably not.
exactly. They probably never think they're gonna get caught, but it's 2022, motherfuckers, and familial DNA is coming for your ass.
Yep.
So, but anyway, the babes in the woods have been identified, and my hunch was always, and I've shared this with you, so they've been identified as 6 and 7-year-old David and Derek Dalton. So what originally, when they were found by the groundskeeper of Stanley Park. And if you guys are not familiar, Stanley Park is a huge park that we have in Vancouver, right in the middle, the heart of downtown. And
And it has the whole seawall. It's
yeah, the
astonishingly
aquarium is
beautiful.
there, which fuck the aquarium, but it's there. There's lots of stuff. You can go have like horse carriage rides, which
Fuck that
fuck
too,
those
because those
too.
are mean
Yeah, they
also.
are mean. So it's just pretty much a fucking mean park.
And fuck coyotes too, because they killed all the coyotes there.
Well, are we saying fuck the coyotes or fuck the city for
Fuck the
killing the?
city. Fuck.
Yeah, but anyway, that coyotes were attacking kids. It was
Yeah.
getting out of hand. But they have been identified, and
You're raping everybody up in here.
hide your kids, hide your wife. So because when they were originally found, they were found side by side. There was a hatchet right beside them. They had obviously been bludgeoned to death, and they were covered in a woman's jacket. That to me screams that it was a murder obviously done of like passion. Maybe the person had mental illness, kind of freaked out, killed them.
Yeah, it was like something that was done really hastily,
Oh yeah,
obviously,
and
like in
then
a
like,
rage, fit of rage.
oh
Yeah.
no, let me put my jacket over their bodies, because that is something you see in other cases where guilt overtakes
And love,
them.
actually,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
trying to make them warm and trying to give them
Mm-hmm.
something after
And
you've
trying to be
just
like,
killed them.
anyway,
Yeah, so I hope my kids are warm now after I
yeah,
killed
after I
them.
killed them. So I always assumed it was the mother or the grandmother or someone a woman close
Yeah,
to them. So it actually was confirmed that they believe it was a woman,
family
probably the
member.
mother.
Yeah,
Well, I read another report saying most likely the mother.
yeah.
And she actually would have died about 25 years ago today in this time.
Oh,
So she was alive for quite some time. And you and I have discussed it. I mean, around those times. I think they just came here from Russia. They just immigrated from Russia. Maybe they didn't have a whole lot of money. The kids looked super hyper, and the
they did.
pictures you
They did.
see
And
of
I mean, not
them.
that that was a reason to kill
No,
them, but
no,
they did
no.
look like they were upside down
Yeah,
and
and
like,
most of the pictures you see of them, yeah.
yeah,
And apparently other people in the family had kind of been like, "Where's Derek and David?" And they were just like, "Oh, they left. They went away." It was kind of pushed
yeah.
because there's family members. There's a cousin that lives right outside of Vancouver who was interviewed and just kind of said that nobody ever.
It's so weird though in the past. Like now people are so much more investigative because
Well,
like
people
back in the
probably
old
were,
days
but
it was like, oh no, those kids ran away, or oh
oh,
no,
okay.
those teenagers, they all ran away, all
Yeah.
17 of them or whatever.
Yeah.
Now everybody like,
Well, look at that fucking don't fuck with cats. These people
yeah.
saw this guy, fucking Luca, this guy, fucking killing cats, and they tracked him down by what, vacuum cleaner, and they fucking went
Yeah.
on his picture. Like, it's crazy. So if you want to find shit out today, you can find shit out today.
Well, because we're a bunch of creepers now. We're like
Exactly.
definitely all into each other's business these days.
Exactly. So, speaking of getting into someone's business, I think we should hop right into this episode because it's been almost 16 minutes. There are some other things I kind of wanted to go over, but you know what? They can wait until after episode 32 is completed. So, with that, Mom, what do you say we hop into episode 32?
Episode 32, The Happy Face Killer.
Yes, the continuation of our last episode. So again, if you have not listened to the last episode of Laverne's What the Fuck Are You Doing, Laverne? Go back and listen to it, and then come back and listen to episode 32. We will talk to you
In a
in
minute.
a second. Yeah, fuck.
Keith Hunter Jesperson was born on April the 6th in 1955.
Ugh, very.
And he was actually born close to here in Chilliwack, British Columbia. He is a Canadian born, but he is an American serial killer known as the Happy Face Killer. And that's because he drew smiley faces on all of his confession letters that he wrote to various people for a long time before anyone paid attention.
And as we covered in the last episode, the letters that he wrote all over public bathrooms, mostly at truck stops, which,
Yeah, because he was.
if you want to be taken seriously,
Yeah.
you know
Like, is that where
where to do
people
it.
wrote before the days of the internet?
I mean, I remember a lot. I think we also touched on this last episode. I remember I've read a lot of shit in the bathroom.
You did?
I've read a lot of stuff in the bathrooms, yeah. I don't know if it was just my era. Clearly not, because this was in
Well,
the 90s, so.
yeah, I
I
mean,
just don't, for me, I never understand how people have a fucking Sharpie in their pocket every fucking time they go into the
I
bathroom.
just would never remember. Like, I'd be too busy wiping my bum or whatever to know, like, okay. I just let me hold on a minute and let me
Let me
write this.
write.
Maybe I would poop more often if I sat there and wrote shit on the
Maybe
bathroom
you should
walls.
try it. It's like opposite of reading, you're writing.
If anybody writes on the bathroom walls at my place of employment, please do not think it's me.
So, like we've discussed with lots of different serial killers, his dad was an alcoholic and really domineering. So, he had two brothers and two sisters, and I guess, even his grandpa, his dad's dad, was really violent. So, it kind of just ran in the family, I guess. And, like we just discussed, generational trauma. Obviously, if you're gonna get beat the shit out of, you're more inclined, I mean, it goes one or two ways. You're either more inclined to do the same thing to your children or to really veer the other direction. But clearly his dad was just,
I think also when you're born of a parent that has rage issues, a bad temper, or whatever, you don't actually know that it's not normal to act that way until you learn it later on.
that sounded like you were talking from a little
No,
bit of
you just don't
experience.
know. How would you know?
How would you know,
Yes.
right? Well, exactly. Honestly, for me, I've learned that people communicate in other ways when they're angry other than yelling.
Yeah.
People don't really yell a lot. I wouldn't fucking know that.
I, who knew?
Who knew? Because, well, I mean, for me, when I'm mad, that's why I'm fucking yelling, Like, I'm
Yeah,
fucking
but that's
pissed.
because, yeah.
But
I
that's
mean, but
because,
not anymore, really.
no, no, no,
So
that's what I
crazy. We
mean.
don't even yell. Like, I don't even know if that part of my vocal cords work anymore.
Oh, I bet if you got pissed off.
Okay, well, back to the story.
So yeah, so Keith had, like I said, two brothers and two sisters, and he, for some reason, he felt, I mean, I don't know if obviously his feelings were valid. Again, most of the stuff we talk about comes from the mouths of the serial killers or people around them, but it was said that he was treated less than, like the rest of his
Well,
siblings were kind of treated a little bit
yeah, and I
better.
mean, I think with him, he grew into a very large man, and he was always very big for his age, and it was said that he was teased a lot and uh, called baby Huey and stuff like that. But
And
I mean,
Igor.
Igor,
Eeg.
Eeg.
Just like mean, and kids are mean.
Well, and
So,
our Danika's brother, my son, is huge. Like he was bigger than his grade 2 teacher.
oh, he's been huge. He was what,
And
50
so
pounds at one?
yeah, so he always seemed like he was older and slow because he was so big. So I can kind of like see why Keith Hunter Jesperson was feeling that way for sure.
Well, and again, things that you go through when you're a kid, like the meanness of other kids or other people to you when you're going through your developmental stage in life is big. I
Yeah,
mean,
but it's not big enough to kill 8 people. So
no, but he also, by the time he was 5, was killing and torturing animals,
yes,
which we
so
all
one of
know.
them, the triad.
Yeah, so that's never a good sign.
No.
So,
So he was consistently getting into trouble, including twice attempting to kill other children who had crossed him.
in the same trailer park that he lived in,
Yeah.
and he would brutally murder animals and, yeah, like you said,
Try to,
attempt to
yeah.
murder other kids
So he graduated high school and then he became a truck driver pretty much right away and
Yeah.
had 3 kids and got married.
Yeah, only when he was 20, right? He was pretty
Yeah,
young.
he was a young father.
So I mean, okay, I might be biased, but truck drivers are pretty, I mean, when you have 3 kids, you're kind of in and out a lot all the time. And there's a lot of different serial killers that we've talked about that are truck drivers because you're in one city, the next night you're in another city, and
Well,
you
and
can
you could be
be.
just driving around and see someone that looks yummy or whatever and be like, hey, if I killed that person, no one would even know because I'd be in
And
another city.
exactly, plus you
But
have most trucks have beds in them and a
yeah.
whole almost like a house, right? Because the truck driver lives essentially on these long roads, lives in the bed of their truck.
Ugh,
So,
so weird.
yeah.
Him and his wife were married for 15 years. And then they got divorced. He saw his dreams of being a Royal Canadian Mounted Policeman
That's also another creepy
dashed. It
thing.
is like because a lot of killers want to be cops also.
Yeah. And if we didn't say, he actually had already moved down to the States with his family. When he was pretty young, he moved
Yeah.
down there. So he's no longer in Chilliwack. Thank God. I mean, it's not good to commit murder anywhere, but
But why did he want to be a Royal Canadian Mounted Police? Probably because, as a lot of people do, you hold on to your past.
mm-hmm.
I mean, I still wish I lived in Port McNeil sometimes. And I don't think that's even a valid wish. It's just
No.
because you romanticize your past,
Do you
you
regret
know?
having me and even having to move here?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know
Anywho,
what? I don't blame you because that sounds like a lot. So, as we touched on it in the last episode, in 1990 is when Laverne Pavlinac did not murder Tanya Bennett. What really happened was Keith, because he had now, like we've touched on it, had had this divorce. He was easily triggered by things. So he said in the last episode that he murdered Tanya because she had said something when they were having sex, something that pissed him off.
she didn't want to have sex again.
No, it was like get out, get it
Yeah.
over with, or something like
Yeah.
something. I swear I put on silent. But something like that. Something like get it over with. Are you done yet? Something that it pissed him off. So he bludgeoned her with his fist to death. And because he wanted to avoid any fingerprints being found to place him, obviously, at the murder, he cut off what was mom? The button fly
Oh yeah,
of
the button
her
flies
acid
of her
wash
acid wash
jeans.
jeans.
And then we know that Laverne Pavlinac spun it and, well, she took full credit for the murder and pinned the rest on her boyfriend when she probably could have just got a restraining order or
Kicked him out.
kicked him out. But anyway,
So Keith Jesperson was also someone that was a total attention seeker his whole life. And he now was not getting the proper credit for the murder of Tanya Bennett. So he wrote it on a bathroom wall, I killed Tanya Bennett.
which again, it's probably like phew because Phew, dodged that one. This old fucking lady just took full credit. But I'm sure as time went on and as we see, he continued to murder, then he obviously was like you said, he was kind of like, what the fuck? That's my like there this bitch is taking credit for my handiwork essentially, right?
Yeah.
So hey guys, it's Danica. I know you've heard our commercial of First Sense Dog Dry Shampoo, but now's your chance to get some for yourself and for your furry companion. Use promo code MWMM10 at checkout at www.firstsense.ca for 10% off your first sifter pack. These things are awesome. With the sifter pack, you can try all 3 scents: restorative cedarwood, purifying peppermint, and my personal favorite, Zen lavender. That way, you can say goodbye to those stinky car rides home. I promise you and your fur baby are gonna love this product. Now, back to Murder with My Mother. So, as we know, his first murder took place, Tanya Bennett, in January of 1990.
And then the next time we hear anything about him was April of 1990. He was in a shopping center parking lot in Mount Shasta, California, which is a pretty cool place, actually. I was there once. My truck broke down. He was approached by an intoxicated woman carrying an infant, which don't really go together very well. Both the woman and the child ended up in Jesperson's car where the conversation started. And she introduced herself as Jean and the child as her 6-month-old baby. And the conversation soon turned sexual, because what doesn't scream sexual more than carrying around a 6-month-old baby?
Oh, God.
So they drove to
in a parking lot of a mall.
Yeah.
Sexy.
So they drove to a remote location, and she was performing oral sex while
the baby?
The infant lay in the back seat. And Jean stopped and asked to be driven home.
Just stopped
suddenly,
out of
yeah,
nowhere?
maybe he had a smell or something.
Oh, dick cheese.
So Jesperson forced her to finish the act and then attempted to break her neck.
Oh my
when
God.
she became angry. So, failing to break her neck and not wanting to kill the child, he returned the woman and her child back to the shopping center.
Failed to break her neck. Like, what?
So,
that's a pretty fucking bad, like...
Well, he was arrested at gunpoint in Corning, California soon after. And because he had revealed a bunch of personal details to Jean.
And then was like, you know what, I'm just gonna fucking break your neck. And then, oh, you know what, that didn't work so well. And I don't really want to kill your baby, so get the fuck out of my truck and just forget everything that I said to you.
So Jean obviously went to the Mount Shasta Police Department and told all the... Because he literally spilled the beans about himself.
Yeah, God.
So the cops arrested him in another town, and he basically said that the reason that her neck got twisted was just an accident from the cramped space of the car. And he led them to evidence being an empty liquor bottle and blah, blah, blah in the parking lot. And the police decided to believe him. Perfect. So he was charged, though. A charge was filed for sexual assault. It was
reduced to like a misdemeanor, right? Like he just got slap on the wrist, basically.
Yeah, so he failed to appear in court. So then a felony warrant was issued.
Well, it was a year and a half after the first time that we know that he killed. So August 30th, 1992. So that seems like it was more than a year and a half after his first kill. But it was the body of a woman that he raped and strangled, and she was found near Blythe, California. So he says that so right now she's Jane Doe, but he said that her name was Claudia. And so a month after that, the body of Cynthia Lynn Rose was discovered, and he claims that she was a prostitute who entered his truck at a truck stop while he slept.
Which, I mean, as you can tell about Keith, he pretty much blames everybody else for everything.
Like every other serial killer. It was never his fault because she came in his truck, so why? Obviously, he's got to kill her.
Yeah, so another one, his fourth victim, was another sex worker, Lori Ann Pentland of Salem, Oregon. Her body was found in November of that year, and according to him, she attempted to double the fee she charged for the sex that she had participated in. So after the fact.
Oh, running a
And
trick on
then,
him.
yeah, which is probably bullshit also. She threatened to call the police and he strangled her. And that he actually had a pretty big gap after that. It was more than 6 months.
Yeah, and then in 1995,
Oh no, he had 1993,
oh, in 1993,
a Jane Doe
another
in,
Jane Doe.
yeah.
So, I mean, again, we've talked about this when people live more of a transient lifestyle, when people live a high risk lifestyle. Sometimes they're really far from home. And sometimes, you can catch a ride in Washington and end up in Florida and no one knows who you are.
Well, and I think also the police failed to like really investigate the death of someone who no one's really asking about, and
No,
they
exactly.
they just pinpointed the next victim as a drug overdose, but it was not a drug overdose. He strangled her. And then in 1994, another Jane Doe was found in Crestview, Florida, and Jesperson claimed that her name was Suzanne.
See, and again, living in that time, it's not like you can be like, hop on your Facebook and be like, hey guys, just in,
Yeah, just in
wherever in
Florida, tag me in.
Florida, like tag, check in at this location. No, it was very like, again, if you got in a truck in Washington and you ended up in Florida and you didn't speak to anybody or stop and use a payphone or, nobody knew where you were. And so that's why I think that he was able to have so many of his victims stay unidentified. And even to this day, there's victims that he has that are unidentified because they were never able to be identified.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was predominantly killing sex workers and he didn't know anything really about them. I mean, he was a talker, but I doubt he really listened
Oh,
very
for sure,
much.
fucking no. He does not strike me as a listener.
No.
No.
So, yeah, he claimed that his fifth victim's name was Suzanne. And then in January 1995, he agreed to take a woman, Angela Sabrise, from Spokane, Washington, to Indiana in his truck. Approximately a week into the trip, Sabrise became impatient and began to nag Jesperson to hurry up
Uh-oh.
because she wanted to see her boyfriend. That's where she was going. So, in response, Jesperson raped and strangled her,
Well, that's
and
what you
then
get, I guess, for complaining about taking too long. Like,
and
this guy's
then
fucking.
he definitely has some valid excuses for killing people.
Well, and he's what? What did we say? 6'7", 6'5",
6 foot
something like
five,
that.
yeah,
That's fucking huge.
yeah,
So it's almost like he just had a really short fuse. And imagine, like, he could literally. I'm surprised he didn't break the lady who was walking around her net, with her kid in the fucking
yeah.
parking lot, because he is a big. He was big.
He was 6'6" and 240 pounds.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So this lady, surprised that was getting impatient and nagging him, so he raped and murdered her. And then he decided he didn't want anybody to be able to identify her, so he strapped her face down underneath the trailer of his truck and
Mm.
drug her until she was had nothing left of her
Well, and
face and
we
her
know that
hands
that
and
can
stuff.
cause a lot of damage to somebody being stuck under a vehicle like that.
Yes. So he actually, with that one, no one even really knew anything about it because no one even found her until he said that he had done it later.
Well,
We'll
and if you're going
get
from
to that.
Spokane to Indiana, again, those are the only person that probably knew, and maybe she was even surprising her boyfriend. Who knew? You know?
Yeah, maybe she wasn't even his girlfriend. Like, you know, who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah.
We don't have very much
Well, and
information on
that's
that.
just it. When you find out all your information from the person that is responsible for the demise of these girls and, all these people, that's basically where we're getting our information most of the time. Obviously, there is other research sites and other people that have researched, and sometimes their victims survive and they can, tell you but when it comes to things like this, because he also claimed to have killed a lot more people than
Yeah,
he was
you
ever
well, yeah,
charged for.
we'll get to that, but
But there's the like the confession killer. What's his name? Oh God, everything's on the tip of my tongue these days. Fucking baby brain.
Danica
Fucking
has
baby
mom
brain.
brain.
I have like some kind of postpartum amnesia, I'm pretty sure. I also had COVID, so I don't know if it's fucking that long
Who
COVID
knows? Yeah,
shit. Jesus, like I'm pretty sure I have
you've been through a
Alzheimer's.
lot.
Yeah. So Yeah, I don't even fucking know where I was going with that.
So I'll just pick up where you left
Perfect.
off
That's exactly
then.
why we're fucking match made in heaven.
So one thing that Jesperson was not was really smart because he's cruising around killing all these people, and he probably would have gotten away with it for a really long time because there are, what did they say? There are at least
Right now, there's at least 99 serial
serial killers
killers
active in the
active.
United States.
Yeah, and I guarantee you, probably like 80 of them are truck drivers.
Totally. So he could have just kept his run going, which I'm glad he didn't.
No, but he could have.
However, the last
And he's
victim
like,
that
I'm just
the
gonna put
last
this
person that he
smiley
killed
face.
was actually, he had a girlfriend this whole
Yeah, it was his
time.
own
So
girlfriend.
it was his girlfriend, Julianne Winningham. And so she actually was why he got caught. She was kind of a transient woman also. She traveled around, and I heard an interview with one of her best friends and said like her she needed to get her shit together. She was a real free spirit. I'm pretty sure she may have also been a sex worker that was just kind of hitchhiking around the country,
Mm-hmm.
which to each their own,
Yeah.
whatever, seeing the world. But when she showed up missing and then later dead, it came down to a lot of people had known Keith Jesperson through her,
Mm.
and he had actually signed transfer papers and sold a car.
And he looks like a fucking weirdo, so I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
So, I mean, once they knew, like, yeah, it was her boyfriend that was with her last, and he was 6'6", and he drove a red. What kind of truck did he drive?
Was it Kenworth or
I think
Peterbilt?
it was a Peterbilt, a red one. And so it wasn't hard to find him after that. So that's how they found him. I mean, if you go and hang out with someone a bunch of times, you probably shouldn't kill them.
No, that's probably the should be the first rule of thumb, but I think a lot of killers don't follow that.
Yeah. And then,
PSA for all the killers that are listening, if you hang out with someone a lot, don't kill them because
yeah.
you'll be caught right away.
Yeah.
And if you're not caught, you could just write a bunch of happy faces in different bathrooms. It might work a little quicker these days. People might pay more
Maybe
attention.
not.
I don't
People are on
think.
their phones now on the toilet, so they're not even gonna fucking look at the wall.
True, you'd probably have to start some kind of app.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bathroom app.
Well, I was thinking
Bathroom
maybe
confessions
there
app.
you go.
I'm gonna start it.
Like post
Nobody do it.
secrets.
I'm already gonna start it.
Like
Nobody do
post
it.
secrets,
Yeah.
except for it's like shit, I murdered someone.
So that was in March of 1995. So he's done all of this in 5 years. He's killed 8 people
Well,
in
he
several
says
states.
more.
And it led police agencies in several states across the country to reopen old cases. So many
Well,
of
and all this
which,
time, Laverne and fucking John are
yeah,
sitting
because
in
that's the thing. Like
jail.
Laverne Pavlinac said that her boyfriend John and her had killed Tanya Bennett, so no one was even looking for this killer. He was just like cruising around killing people, looking for attention but not getting any, you know?
Well, and that's the thing you see in the interview that we watched with the detectives. It's like they feel so guilty because it's like this Tanya Bennett was his first murder. So if
It could have
they
all been prevented.
exactly, exactly. So fucking Laverne.
Yeah,
It always
I
circles
wonder whatever
back to
happened to
Laverne. I
Laverne.
don't know, but I would like to do a full ass episode on just Laverne.
Well, we did.
I mean, like after and like what could have even made you ever do
Laverne,
that?
birth to death. So, yeah, I mean, they finally found out that he was serious because he told them the location of Tanya Bennett's purse, and only the killer would have known that. And that's kind of how he got them to know that it wasn't Laverne and John that killed Tanya Bennett. And also, he had written a bunch of confession letters and left them at his house. And when the police started questioning him, he called his brother from the road and said, "Go to my house and get all those papers and rip them up and flush them down the toilet." But instead of doing that, his brother actually called the cops and said, "So here you're looking at my brother for these murders, and here's a bunch of confession papers," and handed him in.
Why would you ever write that down? Some people are just twisted though. But that's also so when he got in, when he was, like we said, don't hang out with someone and then murder them. When he was arrested for his girlfriend's murder, that's when he basically was like, look, I didn't just murder her. I may or may not have murdered six other people. And then it's like, oh yeah, and I also murdered Tanya Bennett, but he called her Sonia Bennett.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess 5 years and a lot of murders later just isn't good for the memory. But yeah, so he subsequently was found guilty of all of these murders, 8 murders, but he tried to say that he had done what, up to like 150 murders or something?
I think it was even more than that. I think it was like a couple hundred that he says he was involved in, but he also was, like I said, very, very, very much seeking attention.
Yeah. Well, and by this time he knew he wasn't going anywhere, so it's like, why not fucking take it, take credit for all these murders, even ones that I didn't do. We've seen that lots though.
Yeah.
What is his name? That other guy, not Henry Lee Lucas. What's his name? There's another guy who confessed to like so many different murders and he didn't do any of them. He did maybe like 2 or 3 of them, but not as many as he like claimed to do.
Yeah, I think that it's fairly common for people once they're caught to be seeking the attention because as we've said before, a lot of killers are just narcissists and believe that they are the shiznit.
Yeah. And so he is in jail with life, obviously, and he does not ever have the chance for parole. See, that is one thing I like about the about the states. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously there's that other side of it where it's like you have a doobie and you're in jail for 30 years, which I don't like that part. But yeah, Keith Jesperson is in the Oregon State Penitentiary and he's serving 5 non-consecutive life sentences. And he is now 67 years old. So he's not even that old. Like
He's the
he's,
same age as my mom, actually born the same year.
huh, a little taller than your mom.
Yeah, a little.
That's pretty
And
much the only difference
there's
there. No,
actually if you guys wanted to look at some interesting things about this case, his daughter Melissa actually wrote a book.
yeah, and you know what? I read a lot of excerpts from her book and some interviews that she did, and she says that I guess what was it, about a year and a half after. So he had been pretty much in and out of their lives. Like I had said, he is a trucker. He was a truck driver, so he's constantly here, constantly there. He's all over. And after him divorcing their mom, he was kind of in and out, right?
Yeah, he
So
was like Disneyland dad, basically.
yeah, and so a couple times she said, like, she's like, I would get kind of the creeps from my dad. And one time they were driving where, unbeknownst to them at the time, I mean, he knew obviously, but they were driving on the same road where Tanya Bennett was murdered. And he said to her something along the lines, I don't know exactly word
He
for
said I
word,
could create or I could do the perfect
I
murder.
could kill someone and get away with it. I
Yeah.
could get the have the perfect murder. And like as they were driving right where her body was found. And obviously his daughter was probably like 10 or 11 at the
She was
time,
10.
and she doesn't know that there's someone that was murdered that was found there. And everyone thinks Laverne did it anyway. So, but yeah, so it was very like there's a lot of things she said looking back at a lot of things my dad did and said, and he would like kill her animals and
Yeah, he one time they had a litter of kittens and he hung them all from the clothesline and killed them.
yeah, which is so fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, and thinking, I mean, it's probably best that he was in and out of their lives like that. Like, imagine having a dad around like that all the time. Like, oh
No.
God, what a creep. My dad's a truck driver and he's a creep in his own ways, but I mean, I don't, like just, I don't
Yeah,
know.
he
That's
is.
some stuff that's pretty traumatizing for you to grow up with. And again, growing up now knowing, because she wasn't that old when her dad was actually apprehended and was convicted of being the silence of the lambs, run a whole new, sorry, the fucking happy face killer. So,
Yeah, so she has a book called The Untold Story of a Serial Killer's Daughter.
which would be super cool to
I
read.
think I
I'm
might
gonna read
actually
it.
read it on my Kindle.
Wow.
Pretty sure I might do
Pass it
it.
over after you're done. So,
But that
yeah.
is kind of all over the place version of the happy
Yeah.
face killer because
We'll get back into it.
I think I really, really appreciate you guys standing by us for
Yeah.
us being absent for this last 2 weeks, but we're back, bitches, and in a couple more weeks, we are gonna have the best episode you've ever heard in your
Yeah.
life.
So what we're gonna do now is because um we have, kind of a full plate, obviously. We're going to be giving you guys an episode a month. So the next episode will come out March 24th. So that is a Thursday. Yeah, so we will talk to you guys then.
I think we might make them a little bit longer, maybe
Yeah,
too.
let's do
A
it.
little more research, a
Mm-hmm.
little more love.
Yeah. So until then,
Until then, thanks again, and we hope you were riveted and enjoyed the episode. And
yeah, we love you guys. And my baby's screaming in the background. I don't know if you guys can pick that up. So, yeah, daddy's Daddy's not daddy duty and too good over there, I guess. So, well, we love you guys and we will talk to you next month. Love you guys.
bye.